Hello guys, my name is Marcus and we're going to take our test bench with the Intel Core i7-5960X overclocked to 4.4 GHz with 16 GB of DDR4 RAM, 2400 MHz and an X99 Asus Strix motherboard. All this just to run our 16 eligible graphics cards that were able to deliver any 1080p Ultra experience for Mass Effect Andromeda. Let's see how it runs. From the GTX to bottom, all of those three graphics cards were unable to run above the 30 FPS. To do so, you will need to make some adjustments, but if the target is 60 FPS, you should go to low specs. The GTX 1050 Ti was the only one able to deliver more than 30 FPS average performance. Those other 4 GPUs could perform between 30 and 50 FPS, which made them okay to run the game. We would recommend the RX 470 to be put in high preset and the GTX 780 Ti and the R9 380X on medium to high and the GTX 960 to medium. Pay attention to the 0.1% lows of the GTX 1060 caused by the lack of VRAM, is the 2 GB model. In this chart, we see good performance by all the chips. There is a noticeable drop in 390X on the 0.1% low, probably caused by the driver overhead of the 390s. For these GPUs, we recommend fine adjustments just in case to get 60 FPS rock solid. And at last, the 4 greatest graphics cards. R9 Fury X achieving the 65 FPS, the GTX 1070 achieving 81 FPS, the GTX 1080 being the one and the first that never drops below the 60s with 100 FPS of average, and the GTX 1080 Ti as the king of the test, delivering astonishing 133 FPS. This chart, by the way, shows a true perspective of the gap between all the graphics cards tested, from the GTX 750 Ti to the GTX 1080 Ti. The purpose of this chart is to put you into how much you will gain in performance when you upgrade from one graphics card to another. From the CPU thread usage perspective, we see an average CPU usage of less than 20% and a max core thread usage on the 50% of average. Just the 1080 Ti that puts the CPU onto the 25% level of usage. If you're worried about how much RAM is needed for 1080p Ultra in this particular game, you may see that 6 GB is the minimum and 8 GB is the recommended amount of system RAM. The GPU RAM, on the other hand, requires a little less. You will need a 4 GB VRAM graphics card. With 3 GB you can run, but with 2 GB you'll have to make use of dynamic RAM, swapped from the system RAM, and could experience some drops of frames. The temperature will depend only by the model and design of the GPU. The Fury X, the GTX 1050 Mini by Zotac, and the GTX 1070 Strix Game by Asus were the most cold ones. With all that said, we can only thank you for seeing our video. To enjoy Mass Effect game in your PC, and we hope to see you soon in another performance analysis or video in our channel. Thank you very much. Marcos is off.